about burnout, okay? And how you can have burnout within even the spirituality realms. And so I have in the past been participating in capitalism, hyper masculinity, hustle grind culture, all of the things that were very inauthentic to my soul. And that's just how we were all programmed. And along that journey, I unplugged from that matrixy in terms of the 3D realms, plugged myself in to the same type of paradigms, but within spirituality in my own business, because that is how I knew how to function. One, to me, was better than the other. And it really did help me get to where I'm at right now in this time and space. However, those things that once worked for me are not working anymore. I have been having to conscientiously hold a lot of boundaries with myself. We are not doing the old behavioral patterns that did serve us in the past, but the way that we are all shifting collectively, energetically, I don't want to function like that in the future, of forcing myself to do things that I'm not in the right energy for, or that I'm not super passionate about. I, in the past, have really stressed myself out and caused myself so much anxiety as a motivator to truncate sometimes my ADHD neurospiciness in order to get things done. I realized the other day that I was experiencing another form of burnout. So when you unplug from the matrix, your central nervous system has to go through this really deep transformative process of releasing years worth of cortisol and adrenaline that has been built up in your body. And when you unplug, what you would think would happen, for the most part, this is not representative of everybody, but you would think for the most part that you would feel at so much peace and have so much more energy. Sorry, we're so itchy. You'd have so much more energy, and sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you are so incredibly burnt out and exhausted from being burnt out and exhausted for so long and doing things that you don't want to do, and people pleasing and masking and conforming to society and capitalism. You go through this period where you are just over everything. And there's a lot of shame and guilt that comes through that. So I went through the first phase of that when I unplugged from normal society. And now that I'm going through this second phase, I've been really mindful about the way that I'm speaking to myself and saying, hey, we're just shifting energetics right now in our foundations and the ways that we're doing things so that we can have a better flow state within ourselves and just be doing things that we want to be doing. I made a video the other day about how ideas have their own consciousness. You can actually go in and speak to them as their own being, an entity, like a positive entity. Some people are a little triggered by that word. Their own being, and ask it for advice. So I went and laid out on a trampoline in the sun, and it was so lovely and relaxing. I said, I'm going to talk to my content as a conscious being, because there's a lot of videos that I have been, I wouldn't say needing to record, but needing to record. I'm very backed up on it, but I have had absolutely no energy to do them, and it literally will not come out of me. And I know it's in there, but it's not ready yet, or maybe I haven't hit the perspectives that I need to, or the consciousness in order to relay that to the people that are receiving it. So when I went in to go talk to the content today, I said, hey, can you give me a little bit more insight of why this is so difficult for me right now? And what it said to me, which is really funny the way that I envisioned them, because you can ask it to speak to you in a person form if you want, and it was a version of me a couple years ago that had like a blunt bob. It was blue, and she was like very like CEO boss babe energy. Not that I'm not now, but that was the energy that I was working on. Oh, excuse me. Trying to project. I said, can you tell me a little bit more about this? And she said, yeah, you're going through another phase of burnout. you took all of the processes from Matrix land over here and put them in your spiritual business, because at least that was a way that we could function and get things rolling and moving and be successful at that. That's not how we want to go into the new earth paradigm, however. And so your physical body is going through another detox of adrenaline and cortisone release, and that is why you're so incredibly tired and foggy minded and not able to articulate the things that you want to. And it's also very inauthentic for us to make content when we're in those places and spaces, because we understand there's a certain energetics that's underneath the content that you're creating, and that's how people are going to ingest it as well. So we want to make sure that we are in the right energy within our soul when we are creating that for others, especially because it's a type of esoteric knowledge that can be really fundamentally life-changing for people, but also paradigm shifting or breaking down paradigms and helping people reframe their truths and beliefs. So we want to make sure that it's coming from the caliber that we intend things to. I said, oh, wow, you're right. I really am going through that right now. And I don't need to feel shameful or guilty for that. This is the new way of doing things. And as somebody who is a leader to other people, also teaching these processes, it would be extremely inauthentic for me to force myself to do things while I'm going through this burnout phase. I have been expressing this to my community members of what I'm experiencing, because an intention of mine is to teach people how to be leaders to others. And so sometimes it looks like me being like, hey, let me tell you all what's going on in the back end back here. But that is what transparency and vulnerability and authenticity look like. And that's the type of reality that I want to be living in. So that's why I'm on here sharing this with you as well. But I wanted to communicate this. If there is anyone else out there, maybe it's you, that is also kind of going through this burnout within spirituality after you have already unplugged from the Matrix paradigm, and you're like, what the heck is going on? Well, it's not necessarily spirituality in itself. It's the processes that we're finally flushing out as a collective, so that we can all live more in resonance with how our soul really wants to live. So I would love to hear in the comments if this resonated with you, and I hope you have a super magical day.